Welcome to the Brett Davis Podcast.
Well, I'm getting an opportunity tonight to interview a young man. He's going to say, "Well, I'm not young." Well, you are. You look younger than you actually are, but you are a young man. But an entrepreneur and somebody that has people talking about his amazing watches, S Force. Is it the president or CEO, Austin Gayne, with me? What do
Yeah,
you prefer?
CEO currently. Yep.
Okay. Well, CEO, and I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, Austin. And so, one thing I like about your watches is, first of all, they're really unique. They have character. They're very fashionable, and we're going to show them in a little bit after we talk about you and how you started this company. So, how did you start this company?
So here's a preface. You obviously don't know. So I'm actually a partner of this brand. I came in a little bit later. My business partner, he actually started the brand, and as of today, I'm kind of coming in to kind of help scale the brand and also hit it in different channels and kind of grow the brand in the United States. And also, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but some of the things we're working on is strategic partnerships with some of the recognizable brands you guys may know, such as like the UFC, combat sports, professional athletes. Those are some of the key strategic relationships I'm here to kind of help grow and scale, and so many other amazing things. So, yeah, good question though. So the brand was started in 2016 by my business partner, and he had basically grown it, as I'm sure you're aware, within the niche of bodybuilding, and grew it to, I would say, very recognizable. So anytime you'd go to these fitness expos like the Mr. Olympia, the Arnold Classic, or anything like that, there would be bodybuilders, athletes who would be wearing these watches around. And after basically becoming the number one watch in bodybuilding, we've rebranded from Swole Clock, which is what a lot of people know us for, to S Force. And that was done in 2019. So we're 3 years into the company at this point, and we rebranded primarily because we wanted to work with athletes of many different organizations. And with the name Swole, we felt like it was limiting to just bodybuilders, powerlifters, stuff like that. So now, from changing the name in 2019, we've been hyper focused on expanding into martial arts like MMA fighters, UFC, NFL players, NBA players, and anyone basically who just kind of relates with the core values of the business and the styles of the watches, obviously. And
Well,
now we're here.
I have a lot of friends that are professional athletes that I would love to introduce to the watches and even sports agents, because I think it's just really hip and it's cool. And watches for the younger generation, they seem to be coming back for a while because of the Apple Watch. It seemed like fashionable watches were kind of falling into the wayside, but it seems like with your watch, it seems like there is more of an interest now. It's the timing's perfect. I think people like what you're doing.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. So, Apple, many people don't know this, but, you think of watches and you think of Rolex, you think of maybe Nixon, you think of Invicta, but most people don't know that Apple is actually the largest watch seller in the whole world.
I didn't know that.
And yeah, it's actually really, it blows your mind into how big of a market cap they have. But our watches, as of right now, we have something in the works, but as of right now, we're not meant to actually compete with Apple. We're meant to be a replacement. Apple watches are great for functionality. As you all know, they could look at stats like heart rate and other fitness factors. And of course, you could see your text messages and notifications, but our watches are meant to be a statement piece. They're meant to be worn out when you go out and you want to have, go out with your friends. You want people to notice a nice watch. Same people, the same reason you would wear a Rolex or any other watch that is a great design and you're proud of. And that's kind of the customers that we actually, that's our core customers, and we're proud of it. That's the thing. Although the category for smartwatches has obviously grown, the trends show that it's actually not necessarily decreasing for traditional watches. So that's good news for us.
No, I think it's great. So, what does a watch typically retail for? Your watches are they similar in price, or do you have like a low end, high end, or they're pretty much the same price across the board?
Yeah, so being in business for many years, we've of course experimented with all types, right? So we've had our watches from $200 up until several thousand, right? And what we've kind of really come to the conclusion with is what our customers really relate to and where we want to be is between $150 to around $500. That's that
Okay.
middle tier price range. It definitely feels good to buy it. It's like a nice pair of shoes or something like that. But it's not enough to where you have to pull out your savings, break the bank, or once you get it, you kind of have that feeling of regret. We never wanted that. So our watches are affordable, yet in terms of the functionality and
Awesome.
design, yeah, in terms of the functionality and design.
There we go. We lost you there for a little bit of
Oh,
the sound.
sorry.
It's
Sorry
okay.
about that.
You're back now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in terms of what we're doing, we have affordable watches, and the functionality and design are something that you're actually proud of. So, we wanted to stray away from cheap watches, cheap design, cheap functionality. So, that's kind of what we sell. So, we're going to be coming out with a new line of watches later this year that's going to be around the $150 price point. But as of right now, our minimum buy-in is around $250.
It's actually a pretty good price.
Yep, the new watches, they're going to be similar design, similar build, similar functionality. They're just made with a material that we're trademarking called hypercarbon. And essentially what it is, it's super lightweight, so it's going to allow you to wear these watches in the gym, while on a hike, running around, and it's not going to be heavy and weighted on your watch or on your wrist like some of our other watches are.
So, tell me some of do you have a factory or an area where people can go, like a main hub where you're like Nixon, we in San Diego, we have a Nixon is based out of San Diego, if I'm not mistaken. We have a shop here. Do you have a facility where people can walk in and see your watches?
As of right now, we don't. That's a great question. But in the future, we're planning on creating a retail store in Las Vegas. We
I was gonna say Las Vegas, and you
Yeah,
said it.
Las Vegas. So we have two strategic areas we want to do. We want to open up a retail store in Las Vegas, and this is to allow people, because Vegas is one of the most tourist spots in the whole United States. So we got many customers coming out of there, and then the Vegas style just kind of resonates with the boldness of our watches. So us being in Vegas, and also the UFC is headquartered there. There's a
Oh yeah,
lot going on. Bodybuilding is a big scene out there.
sure.
There's a big clientele base in Vegas. So we just kind of feel it's fitting to establish a retail front in Vegas at some point. And then the second location would be closer to the East Coast, which would be in Nashville, Tennessee, which is where I'm currently at right now.
I think those are great locations, and Las Vegas is a phenomenal idea because of the whole state income tax thing. Practically, I think it's zero if I'm not mistaken. And then where you're at, I've heard such great things. Also, I need to get to that area of the country, but
Yes,
you're-
Nevada and Tennessee share the values. They both have 0% state income tax. So
oh,
that's
Tennessee's also that low income tax.
that's correct. Yeah, there's a handful. I know that it's Florida, Texas, Tennessee, Nevada, and I might be missing one or two, but from what I can tell, that's yeah.
So it makes sense. And I mean, as a businessman and a business, of course, it's hard enough trying to pay the bills without having to pay extra taxes, correct?
Absolutely. So anytime, you don't, here's my philosophy. I am proud to be an American. I'm proud to pay my taxes, but like anyone who is sophisticated in business that I've listened to, you just don't want to have to pay more taxes than you should, essentially.
No, I agree 100%. I think we should be rewarded for success and not reamed more and have to pay more taxes. I think that's especially right now with the way the world is. It's just we need to find a way to help the businesses more. And I think the tax thing is a huge thing. And the thing is if the businesses aren't helped, two things: they're either not going to make it long term, depending on the business, of course,
Yeah,
or they're going to have to go to a states like you just said.
that's exactly right. So yeah, I prefer to work in states that are, I guess they're pro business in a sense where they're continuously trying to attract new businesses. Nashville is one of those areas where I believe Amazon has set up their second headquarters at. There's a lot of new businesses moving into Nashville. So I just prefer to live and work and run my businesses out of a state that basically is pro business. Yeah.
I agree 100%. So how many watches do you have right now? Various types that you have?
Yeah, so basically, the way our collection works, we have essentially two different types of watches. We have watches with a silicone band, which is one that I'm currently wearing. So
Very nice.
you can see right here, it's a silicone band,
Yeah, very nice.
stainless steel case, silicone band, right?
Yeah.
That's type one. The second type is stainless steel case, stainless steel band. So the key difference is just the band in that. Obviously, you could wear both watches technically to the gym. I see people wearing the Rolexes to the gym, but we prefer our customers to wear the silicone based bands to the gym
Uh-huh.
or do active things with it. So we just kind of make watches that encompass your lifestyle. Whether you're working out, we have a watch for you, or whether you're going out or you have a business meeting or just a night on the town, we got a watch for you there too. So those are the two types that we currently sell.
Well, I know I have I told you earlier, a variety of watches, and every time I go somewhere, everybody's like, "Where did you get that watch?" So I'm known to be the watch guy, but I
Yeah.
have to definitely, look at a little bit more variety of what you've got, because I don't have one of your watches, and I love them. So, do we have a commercial so we can show some of the, people that are watching right now, or maybe later on when they watch the video? Austin, share the video also, the interview and, the commercial when you get a chance with people.
Absolutely. 100%.
Let's take a look at this.
Stop that. Yeah. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but mans keep walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch man, please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees.
I feel like I want to see more. Is that the whole video? Wow, you got me all excited. I was like, yeah, yeah. I was like, this is great.
I'm gonna be honest. I think there was a first part of that video.
There's
I
more
think
to the video than
I
that?
think there was an intro part of it. I'm just gonna be honest. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
There might be a little bit more of that, okay. So we're gonna have to make that up to you. So I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna get that commercial, up and running for my next interviews coming up, and, I'm gonna play them for about a month for you, and so people can see the watches, and we can get that whole how long is that video normally?
It's around 30 seconds.
Oh, okay. So 30 seconds? Is there more that we didn't see?
We're talking like 10, 12 seconds. So
Oh, okay.
it wasn't
So
too significant.
we'll figure that out on the next time, and then when we do the next show, unless you can do it. Can you do it? You don't wanna do a repeat, though.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Yeah. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but mans keep walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch man, please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees.
I saw more that time.
Absolutely. And due to the technical error, you guys got to see my ad twice. So thank you.
You're a good businessman.
Right. I hope so.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, of course, both of you for fixing that up for us so we can see that. So, I see the military loving this, and as you know, in San Diego alone, we have I don't know how many billions of dollars are spent in San Diego, monthly, actually yearly, by the military. I mean, we have Pendleton, we have, the Navy, we have, we're one of the biggest militaries in the country. I mean, I could see San Diego, being one of those cities that would love to wear those watches. We're going to be having top military person of the year coming up. We should
Wow.
get you guys involved with that. That's going to involve all the branches. I think they'd love your watches.
Absolutely. We have huge respect for anyone who has served for our country, and we actually have military discounts available for whether you're a first responder or obviously in the military, active and veteran. So that's something that has been always important to me, and it also reflects in the business's values as well.
I think so too, and I think we're going to look for those stories of military people that are just doing these amazing things. And I'll talk to you more about it and see if you guys are interested. But I see a total fit for the military. I can see everybody this being a status that everybody in the military is going to want to have.
Yeah, we have a lot of customers who are both in the military. We have firemen, police, basically any position where serve and protect is the motto. I think we have a little bit of customers everywhere. So it's a great fit for us for sure.
So that event that we're going to be doing, we're working on the date still, but we're also going to be honoring people in law enforcement, firefighters, those types of people you just mentioned. It fits all that category.
Yeah, that's great. I think our watch resonate with that as well. Just big, bold, rugged, something different. And a lot of these law enforcement officers, uh, you know, active military veterans, they kind of resonate with that, unique look because that's the thing. As a being in the military or first responder or being a law enforcement, it's basically you're in the minute percentage of the population who are doing something different. You're unique. You really are. And that's why we celebrate people who serve in any of those fields is because of the sacrifice it takes and the uniqueness of it. And that's just like our watches. Our watches are unique. We actually have a patent on this design. So the cool part is like if you wear our watches, you're not going to see any other company copy our watch designs in terms of the case because we literally own the patents on it. And that's not a lot of watch companies own patents, which is why you see knockoffs. So that relates definitely to law enforcement, and military really well because they are the 1% of the country serving or, low percent of the country serving. And our watches are also unique in that sense as well.
So no, I think it's a great fit. And did you have a question, sir? I thought she was. Do you have watches for females? Is what you think she was
Yes,
asking.
yes, we do.
Okay. Do you have a lot of watches for women or mostly just for guys?
Mostly men. That's our primary target. But at
Okay.
the same time, women. We've seen women buy some of the men's watches, so it's really unisex for a lot of it. It just depends on, a lot of women like big watches, so we definitely
It's
cater to them
true.
as well.
Women are. I've noticed a lot of women for the last a decade or so have been wearing like Rolexes, men's sized Rolexes for a while. So I guess that makes sense. Your watches are unisex. Yeah, I mean, women can wear the big watches, and they're doing it more often now than ever.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So we just want to make sure that we continue to create products that's attractive for both men and women, or, and I think for our customer base, they pretty much like whatever designs we put out. So a lot of them are unisex to get to the point. Yeah.
So what's your goal with the company? I mean, coming on, you said you came on after your the original founder, but what is your goal? Your job that you want to do with the company now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So from me joining the company, I come from a background. I live in the United States, as we've already discussed, and my business partner, he actually is from Australia. So we kind of think differently, which is good when a business partner. You always want someone who thinks a lot differently than you because it adds a layer of just strategy and different thoughts and opinions that you might not get if you're just talking to someone who's a clone of yourself. So my strategy and my background in this, I come from an MMA background. I've been a fan of the UFC and martial arts forever. I played football. I'm very big into American culture when it comes to sports, right? And for me, when I saw this watch brand before I got involved, and now even so, I've always thought that this brand resonates really well with athletes. So for me, I feel like this brand and our designs, we resonate really well with athletes and fans of sports like MMA, which would be UFC, NFL, powerlifting, all of these different types of sports leagues and organizations. So
Yeah.
back to my goal is to be the official watch of many of these combat leagues. I have a stern target on the UFC being their official partner as a watch within the next 5 to 7 years. It's a lofty goal, and it's going to require a lot of work and effort and making the right connections to do that. But that's what I see in terms of a big partnership. However, long-term vision, 10, 15, 20 years is we want to take over that space as the big watch. So currently, as most people know, that spot is currently taken by Invicta. They've been around for a while, but in my opinion, I think that they're losing their edge. They're making watches that are $20, $30. They're just making anything that they can sell, and they're leaving their core demographic, their core audience, their core customer, and they're just trying to sell to everyone and everything because they're not knowing how to adapt to this e-commerce environment, in my opinion. So now they're just trying to sell whatever they can. Doesn't matter what it is. They're making cartoon watches. They're licensing all these things because they don't have any idea who their customers are anymore. So I have a strong foothold and I know who our customers are. And I want to just stay hyper focused in that and continue to grow until we overtake Invicta and Nixon and Diesel as the largest watch in this category, especially for athletes.
I know Rolex, during the pandemic or even right before, it was hard to get a Rolex because it takes a period of time to make them, and they were very selective of how fast they were turning their watches out. It was a demand because they weren't just like you were just saying, they were just making everything for nothing. Uh, just as an example, I mean, Rolex is a different animal, but I mean, it's still a watch, and it seemed like their strategy is working. There is and I heard it. Well, how long does it take to make a watch like that? Typically, does it happen in months? It happens over a period of time, right?
Yeah, we're speaking of a Rolex, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it has to.
I don't know exactly, but I have several friends who, they've been on the wait list for a year or longer. So I
Yeah,
think that there is a part of it that is true in terms of it does take that long, but I also think it's a marketing plot or in a marketing perspective as well, just as a business owner, because if you can control the outward supply, you can basically control the pricing. And that's why products like Rolexes, Ferraris, some of these more luxury limited edition goods, that's why their price retained so high because it's a simple supply and demand curve. If you have a product that a lot of people want, but you only allot a certain amount per year, then that price is going to stay steady. And then, as most people who are watch collectors know, that is going to be an investment, and those prices are going to continue to rise over time. So I think it's a combination of craftsmanship and also marketing and keeping their products exclusive in order to retain that market value for sure.
I'm sure that if they're rare and there's a limited amount of them, I'm sure the value will go up too.
Absolutely. That's part of it too. They want to make sure that they're, and why would somebody wait that long? Because they know that if they put their name in the wait list, they put the deposit down, they'll have to wait, 1 year, year and a half, 2 years to get that watch. But when they do, they can immediately sell it for a profit immediately.
Right. Well, I mean, I like the watches just because of the uniquenesses of them. I don't want something that just looks like anybody else can have. Your watches are very unique, and that's the one thing that stands out with them. And I know you're going to do extremely well. You already are. I love your passion, and I love the fact that you know your industry because I mean, you covered a lot of good areas. I mean, absolutely makes common sense in business. Everything that you talked about tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what a business is. It's not just business, but whether we're talking about a podcast or you want to be an influencer or you're trying to get a job, you basically have to look at the market, you know, objectively and say, "Hey, what's missing in the market?" And it's not just business, it's a job. It's like I said, a podcast, it could be anything. And you have to basically say what's missing and then you have to fill that missing void in the market. And that's what we did. We just knew that with watches, there wasn't anything that was big and bold and high quality like ours. The closest thing is an Invicta, but it's not really meant to be rugged and tough and basically have the functionality of ours. Invicta's more of, it's a big design, but it kind of goes, that's as far as it goes. It's one of those watches, in my opinion, that breaks easily. You can't really take it, you can't really take it to the gym. You can't really take it as an active person, or else it's you have the fear of it breaking. So that's what we saw. We saw a opportunity to create a product that's designed bold and built tough.
Well, I appreciate the time that you were on the show. Is there any question you want to ask me?
So I actually wanted to ask, what is your favorite watch? Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, I think yours now. You're because I don't have one and I've seen them and I like them, and because I don't have one, it's probably because you know what it is no excuse. I put 15-hour days in, and
Yep.
I'm working constantly in my office here, and we also have we also do a high beautiful magazine that we put out quarterly. It's a tabletop, and it's a high quality, just like your watch. And so there's a magazine. There's we also put events on, and so I need to spend time just being able to look at things that other than work. And so I've had my eye on your watches for a while, but now there's no excuse.
Awesome. I actually that was the pre-question. I got the real question now. You ready?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, cool. So, and I think a lot of your listeners and longtime fans would definitely like to know. But one of the values with S Force is strength overcomes. That's their slogan. That's their model, and that's mental strength, physical strength, whatever. And I'm really curious to hear, someone when I look at you, I definitely look at someone who has mental strength. You've worked your way up to this position now, and I'm actually very curious to hear of a time in your life where maybe you had an obstacle or something or a time period you didn't think you were going to get through that once you overcame it. Now in retrospect, looking back, you're extremely proud of yourself that you didn't quit, and possibly it was one of those things that you're like, damn, that sucks going through it, but I'm so glad I did. So if you want to
So,
share, that'd be great.
sure. There was a period of time, and my wife's going to nod her head because she's like, "Oh, don't go there." There was a period of time when I was probably about 25, and a lot of people don't know this, but I was living on the streets for about a year.
Wow.
And, it was just, it wasn't alcohol or drugs. It was mostly depression because my grandfather was ill, and I never planned on moving back to San Diego. I was working at a beautiful resort in Scottsdale, Arizona, and came to see my grandfather. And then he was ill, and he says, "Hey, I don't want you to leave. I want you to spend time with me because I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here." Well, I didn't know what that meant. I just came back with my job. It's probably about 25, long time ago, and saw him slowly dying. And when he finally went, I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know, so I went into this deep depression and kind of checked out because it's crazy. I saw people fighting over his belongings.
Mhm.
He wasn't even buried yet, and I'm like, I lost a lot of and people that I thought I knew. And but everybody responds differently to every situation. So I have more understanding now than I did then. I was really angry about that. But yeah, so I ended up checking out for a while, and then and this is why one of my reasons that I'm really involved with the law enforcement and military and everything, because a lot of those people have helped me one way or the other, and I've helped them because it's a brotherhood. You know,
Mhm.
a sheriff found me and told me to come and live with them. And so I lived with the sheriff for a year. He didn't charge me anything. He just wanted to see me get back on my feet. He was really difficult. He was really hardcore,
Yeah.
but he got me back on my feet, and I probably wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for this man in law enforcement. And then he
Wow.
did it. He didn't tell anybody about it. He was very quiet about it. He wasn't braggadocious in any way. So I mean, I have this when people say bad things about people in military or law enforcement, I get really upset about it because a lot of them are not getting paid really well for what they have to put up with. They do it because they love the job, and there's a respect that they have for you know just respect for the country and for law and order.
Wow, that yeah, that's a great story, and I think you nailed it. I really do think that when it comes to positions like this, there's tons. I mean, for every one's negative story, someone says something bad about an officer. I think there's hundreds of amazing stories just like this that you've shared, where an officer is showing not just leadership but compassion, and I think a
Mhm.
lot of people don't understand that, and I think leadership and compassion, especially when it comes to law enforcement or military, I think it's very common, and I don't know. I just think that's so unique and so cool that you got to have someone who kind of helped you get on back on track and showed compassion. And like you
He
said,
did-
you wouldn't know where you'd be without that
no,
situation occurring.
he didn't want anything. He just wanted to do the right thing. And so when I find this is something, and I'm not bragging by saying this, and we're going in a
Mhm.
different area, but uh, once a year we have an event in San Diego where you would never know this, but we have a lot of military that don't have enough money to have Thanksgiving.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
No, that's unbelievable. Yeah.
So we have that in well, I'm sure it's all over, but in San Diego, it's not really talked about because military don't like to complain about those types of things. But last year, I think it was the year before the whole pandemic thing, we had was it about 1,200 people? 1,200 individuals and various businesses kicked in full turkey dinners, and they came. And by the way, all these people were vetted by their branches and even the school districts. There were families that didn't even have enough to be able to eat Thanksgiving dinner. And we had like Martinelli's, and then we had like a turkey, and the mayor of one of our cities in San Diego put this together. And when I found out how you think that the government should be taking care of our military, they shouldn't be wanting to have to. I mean, can you imagine our own military with not having enough to even afford Thanksgiving dinner? And I know I'm going to get heat for saying this, but it's the truth.
No, absolutely, and that's the thing. My wife, she's a RN, and she had some firsthand experience seeing some of the way that the VA hospitals are run, and it's sad. People basically sacrifice, I guess I would say, the prime years of their life to serve the country, and in a lot of times, they're not rewarded for it in the way that I believe that they should be, and it's very unfortunate to see that. But when that charity comes around this year, if it's going to be done this year, you let me know, and we'll make sure we donate however we can, because that is a cause that we can definitely get behind as an individual and also a business as well.
It'll touch your heart, and what's crazy is it's growing. It's not.
Mm.
It's not. And I don't understand, with all the money that we help so many other countries with. And I'm not saying we shouldn't get into helping other countries, but how can our own military need anything? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, this is a political conversation that I've had many times, and it's difficult, like you said, and it's I don't know. I have a lot of friends who serve, and that they're active right now. Like you mentioned, I'm in my 20s, and I have a lot of friends who are there yet. So I'm just hoping that all of my friends who are serving, they're able to. I'm going to say this delicately. I'm hoping that they're going to be able to take care of themselves, because they're not going to be able to rely on the government. If we look at the track record of how the government spends our tax money, it's typically not the most intelligent, and hence the 1.8 or whatever $1 trillion debt we're in. So it's a difficult conversation, and it's tough because you have all these people serving the country. They're doing the right thing. They're doing something noble, and they then have to find out, oh shoot, I was also supposed to have the information that financial information and growth that I would be if I attended college. And it's like, no, it's like, if you're dedicating and possibly sacrificing your life, then you shouldn't have to figure all this out. And there should be some sort of way to kind of help a lot of these individuals get on their feet, or at least figure it out once they get back. It's terrible.
Well, you've been a breath of fresh air. You're very knowledgeable. You're very, very intelligent. You're an old soul. You're very wise, and you're very humble. And I know
I
your
appreciate
company,
that.
and I know your company is going to do very well. Already is. You have a lot of blessings coming to you for all the good things you do. Thank you for what you do. And do we have his contact information if I needed to talk to him about some things? You do? Okay. I may want to set up a meeting and talk to you about some things and see if we can maybe work together, because that's my I'm not really in media, even though I am. You know what I'm really in? I'm in the business of helping people first.
I love that. That's what I always tell people. That's the thing. People always ask me, "Oh, how do you network with so and so?" Because I'm friends and I'm acquaintances with a lot of people who are quote unquote successful, and it's like, no, I'm into helping people. I'm into building relationships, and I'm glad to see that value carries on into you as well.
Well, you know what? I think when you fall down and you keep getting up, and that's where the strength comes from, because people don't need a handout. They need a hand up sometimes.
Mhm.
And when sometimes you don't think you can make it anymore, when you don't. And so I think that's the whole thing. Your company, to me, when I think of your company, it's about people that don't give up and they keep getting up. And it's not how many times they get knocked down. It's how many times they keep getting up until they eventually become successful and they win.
That's exactly right. And there's a quote. I don't know who it says it, but it's basically failure's not. It's not falling down. It's when you stop getting up.
Yeah.
And I really like that. And it's counterintuitive to what social media and all these people think. It's like, if you get knocked on your ass, people want to tell you that you're a failure or whatever, or people at least think that's true. But in my experience, it's looking at great and successful people. You only fail when you stop trying and when you stop getting back up. So I just wish more people realize that, and they'd be less afraid to take risks, less afraid to go after their dreams, or less afraid just to do what they want in life, you know?
I think that's your philosophy for your company. I think it's not only just a watch. I think it is a lifestyle and a way for people to weather the storm that's going on in the country right now. I think we need to keep getting up once we get, and a lot of people honestly are getting knocked down right now, economically, emotionally. We talked a little bit about the mental health thing, but your company is more than just a watch. And I appreciate you being on my show.
Yeah, Brett, I absolutely appreciate it, and I appreciate you sharing your story. I know that it's not easy to talk about those tough times, but they're important, and because they create who you are, and it's as you mentioned yourself. You said if you hadn't gone through that situation and other situations in your life, you wouldn't be who you are today. And that's the thing. It's like our life is a journey, and everything that's happened up until this point has allowed us to become the person we are today. And for the people that are in a spot where they don't necessarily see the light at the end of the tunnel, or they're in a bad spot, it's tough to say, and but you got to keep going, because that this pivotal moment that you could be in right now that might be perceived as negative, it's going to be that part of your story that when you look back, just like you just shared, you're going to be like, wow, like without that, I wouldn't be who I am today.
Austin Gayne, thank you for being on the show.
Absolutely, Brett. Well, thank you. I'd love to be back anytime, and let's connect after this. And any way I can help with the charity or anything you have going on, just let me know. Okay.
Yeah, I think we could help a lot of people.
I 100% agree, and that's I think we're on the same thought process there with helping people out. That's great.
You take care, man.
Hey, have a great night. God bless.
God bless you too. Appreciate it. Austin Gayne, of course, of S-Force. What an amazing young man. Interview. Well, he's a man. He's not a young man. I'm so proud to know him, because we need more inspiration. We need more people like him right now, and he's taking a lead, and we're going to be hearing more about them, I know for a fact. And I want to thank my clients, and not just my clients, but my sponsors, because without them, I wouldn't have my show. I'd like to thank Saquon Casino, one of the biggest casinos in Southern California. They also help us honor all the top educators in San Diego. And this next year, the 2nd of December, we'll be honoring we'll have 400 people at that event. It's going to be black tie. And we're even going to be honoring the janitor again this year, which nobody ever does. Not just teachers and people to do those things, but those people. And then, of course, Labella's Pizza and Lily Lou Flowers and Ellen Kinzel, one of the top real estate agents in Southern California. And Garage Bonificetta in Coronado, really authentic Italian food. And Mule Jewelers, who has been around in the jewelry business for over 100 years as a family-owned business in Coronado. They keep going no matter what. I mean, they went through the Depression and they're still around. And I want to thank the loan queen, Adriana Gibbons. She's done my loans 3 or 4 times, and I still at 3% in this crazy market. Can you imagine? I got a 3% mortgage. Isn't it amazing? I got to thank her for that, because I don't know how she pulled that out. And of course, Melinda Silva. We're going to be doing a lot of anti-aging things in the United States, trying to find ways to slow down the aging process and make people healthier. You'll be hearing more about Dr. Melinda Silva and what we're going to be doing with that whole area. Everybody take care of yourselves. Remember, be nice. God bless, and yippee-ki-yay.